Rampage. The film opens on a space station, where an experiment's gone horribly wrong. Everyone seems to be dead. There's a scientist who's instructed by their boss to recover the experiment. That goes horribly wrong, and the experiment falls to Earth. One of the experiments falls near a gorilla, whose friend is David Okoye. Here we meet, obviously, the main protagonist of the film, The Rock, and they talk in sign language. This experiment causes the gorilla to grow massively in size and aggression, and because of that, of course, the government show up. Now, the engineers of this experiment are a brother and sister who, that looks a little incestuous, I'll be honest. They own the corporation that started this experiment and owned the space station, and it turns out that they designed this as a military weapon. And they know of another site where one of these experiments has fallen, and it's created a giant wolf. They send a Black Ops unit there that they've hired, and this giant wolf takes out all of them. The military then try and fly the gorilla to a location, which goes badly because the brother and sister turn on a homing beacon to draw the monsters towards it. This is now taking place in Chicago. The military try and stop the two monsters, who have now teamed up together, and completely fail. The wolf and the gorilla eventually make it to Chicago and start destroying it. The military still trying to take them out with normal bullets and bombs and a plane. Then a crocodile shows up, which is bigger than both the other two, and all three of them team up. Three of them try and silence the beacon started by the brother and sister. And at this point, we're about 90% through the film, so I'll leave it there because I don't want to spoil the ending. Now, had this been any other film where you start with a monkey and then wolf, and then throw in a crocodile towards the end, you'd be stretching it a little. But because this is a video game adaptation, it's obviously got the characters from the video game. And I didn't tell my wife that it was a video game adaptation. And I don't think she knows still. There was a cameo appearance for the Rampage cabinet in the background of one of the scenes. But it wasn't overly video gamey. It definitely wasn't Assassin's Creed. They created adequate storyline around a video game about animals destroying a city. The start was a little bit traumatic. It did throw me, being in a space station. I wasn't expecting a space station. At times it was a little brutal. There was a little more gore than I'd consider suitable for a 13. And I don't feel the film could find a balance between comedy and serious tension. There was a couple of parts of the film that got a bit too fast and the furious, from the plane that nosedived for about 4 minutes to riding a falling building in a half-broken helicopter. When it landed, it must be the only broken vehicle in the film not to explode. It felt a little overly Michael Bay at times. It's a real shame they couldn't hide the product placement a bit better as well. Cameos from the Microsoft Surface held very badly. The Ford Bronco as well, sounding like a V8 engine that was badly tuned. The performance from The Rock wasn't his best. The strongest performance was probably the CG gorilla. So in conclusion, it didn't really offend. It's probably one of the best video game adaptation movies out there. Maybe they should stop trying to put genres back and forth from video games to films and from films to video games. They never work. It's not one I'd go back to see. If there's nothing else on, I'd go see it.